Imagine two animals. One helped build civilizations. The other looks almost identical. Yet humans never managed to domesticate it. Why? Why did horses become our partners, while zebras remained wild? At first glance, it makes absolutely no sense. A zebra looks like a horse wearing stripes. They're similar in size, similar in shape, and they're even closely related. So why can humans ride horses, but not zebras? The answer is far more fascinating than most people realize. Because domestication isn't about strength. It isn't about speed. And it isn't even about intelligence. It's about behavior. And zebras may have one of the most difficult personalities in the animal kingdom. Humans have spent thousands of years domesticating animals. Dogs guarded our camps. Cats protected our grain. Horses transformed transportation. Cattle helped feed entire civilizations. But here's something surprising. Out of the millions of animal species that have existed on Earth, humans have successfully domesticated only a tiny handful. Most animals remained wild. And zebras are one of the most famous examples. What's strange is that they seem perfect on paper. They're strong. They eat grass. They live in herds. And they look remarkably similar to horses. For centuries, people assumed zebras would eventually become domesticated too. But they never did. In fact, humans have tried. Ancient travelers tried. African kingdoms tried. European settlers tried. Some people even managed to train individual zebras. Historical photographs show zebras pulling carts. Others were briefly ridden. A few were used in exhibitions. So clearly, zebras are capable of learning. The problem isn't intelligence. The problem is consistency. Because training one animal and domesticating an entire species are two completely different things. The first obstacle is aggression. A horse can be dangerous. But a zebra is dangerous in a very different way. Zebras bite, kick, charge, and fight back aggressively. Their bites are powerful. Their kicks can seriously injure predators. Male zebras often fight each other with astonishing violence. And unlike horses, they rarely tolerate being controlled for long. If a horse becomes uncomfortable, it usually tries to escape. If a zebra becomes uncomfortable, it may decide to fight. That's a major problem for humans. Because domestication requires cooperation. And cooperation becomes difficult when an animal constantly challenges control. But aggression isn't actually the biggest issue. The bigger problem is unpredictability. A horse usually gives warning signs. Its posture changes. Its ears move. Its behavior shifts. Experienced handlers can often predict what a horse will do next. Zebras are different. A zebra may appear calm one moment and react explosively the next. That unpredictability makes training extremely difficult. Because trust depends on predictability. Humans need to understand how an animal will react. With zebras, that's much harder. So why are zebras like this? The answer lies in where they evolved. For millions of years, zebras lived on the African savanna. One of the most dangerous environments on Earth. Lions hunted them. Leopards hunted them. Hyenas hunted them. Wild dogs hunted them. Even crocodiles waited for opportunities. Danger was everywhere. Animals that hesitated often didn't survive. As a result, zebras evolved to react instantly, trust slowly, and remain constantly alert. These traits are excellent for survival, but terrible for domestication. Horses evolved differently. Their primary defense strategy was simple. Run. Stay with the herd. Escape danger. This behavior made horses easier for humans to work with. Humans could eventually become part of the social structure. Part of the herd. Zebras evolved a different mindset. Run if possible. Fight if necessary. Trust nobody. Stay alert. Always. From a survival perspective, it's brilliant. From a domestication perspective, it's a nightmare. Scientists have actually studied what makes an animal suitable for domestication. And surprisingly, there's a pattern. Animals that become domesticated tend to share several characteristics. They tolerate hierarchy. They live in stable social groups. They breed easily in captivity. They have relatively predictable behavior. And they aren't excessively aggressive. Zebras struggle with several of these requirements. Which means they consistently fail what researchers sometimes call the domestication test. There's another important distinction. People often confuse taming with domestication. But they're not the same thing. A wild animal can be tamed. It may learn to tolerate humans. It may even cooperate with humans. But domestication happens across many generations. It changes an entire species. Dogs today behave differently from wolves because thousands of years of domestication changed them. The same happened with horses. The same happened with cattle. But zebras never went through that process. Not because humans didn't try. But because zebras made the process incredibly difficult. Which brings us to a fascinating realization. Humans often assume domestication is about power. As if humans simply force animals into obedience. But that's not how it works. Domestication is a partnership. A relationship built over generations. The most successful domesticated animals weren't necessarily the strongest. Or the smartest. They were the ones most compatible with living alongside humans. And zebras simply weren't. So, why can't zebras be domesticated? Not because they're weak. Not because they're unintelligent. And not because humans never tried. The real reason is that zebras evolved for a world where trust could be fatal. Their aggression. Their caution. Their unpredictability. These aren't flaws. They're survival tools. Tools that helped zebras survive for millions of years. And perhaps that's the strangest part of all. Humans changed dogs. Humans changed horses. Humans changed countless species. But zebras resisted. And in doing so, they became one of nature's greatest reminders that not everything in the world wants to be domesticated.